In the last two videos, we saw how to create threads in Java and also how to use join method. In this video, we'll try to explore what is synchronized and how we can use it with threads. So to do this, let's try to create a class called counter. Okay, and this counter class has has a variable called counter, and we'll try to write two methods called increment counter plus plus, and we'll also do a get counter where it returns the counter. So let's go back to the main method and create an object of counter. So now let's create thread t1, and since this counter variable is a shared variable in the counter class, let's try to increment this for int I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Okay, and then we'll do counter dot increment. This is thread t1. We'll try to create another thread called t2. Okay, and we'll pass in the name here called thread 1 and thread 2, right? And now we'll do t1 dot start, t2 dot start, oh sorry, t2 dot start, right? And then let's try to print counter dot get counter, right? So take a moment and pause the video. Try to guess what's the output that we are going to get in this line 21. Now let's run the code and see what we are going to get. So it says 5, right? So essentially, if this loop was run 5 times and this loop was run 5 times, we should have seen the output as 10, but we are actually not seeing that, right? Why is it the case? Because we are running thread T1 and then we are running thread T2, and we are not waiting for T1 to finish its job and then let T2 to run, right? So if we try to do something like t1 dot join, right? If we try to do something like this and then catch interrupted exception e, right? If we run this, we're still getting 5. t1 dot join. Let's also try to do the same for t2, right? Okay, we still get, this is t2 dot start, t2 dot join, right? So what's happening now is t1 is finishing its job and then t2 is finishing its job, and only after t1 and t2 are finished we are trying to print the counter. Prior to this, we were just starting t1 and then t2 and we were just printing the get counter, right? So let us also try to add a print statement in the increment method, right? So this is counter. Okay. So now let's remove these two things. T2 dot start. Right? So like we discussed earlier, we are seeing one here, right? That is, it's printing the counter. T1 started, T2 started. The main thread did not wait for T1 and T2 to finish. It just went ahead and did a counter.get counter. At that instance, the value of counter was 1. That's why we are seeing 1. And after it printed, thread T1 and T2 continued executing, and in the output we can see thread 2 incremented the count to 2, then 3 to 4, then 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5, and 10. So we are seeing some jumbled up numbers here, right? So they are not synchronized essentially. For instance, if I actually make this method as synchronized, right? Let's come back here and run. So now we can see thread 1 incremented the count to 1, then 2 to 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, then 5, so on and so forth till 10. So now the increment that happened is synchronized, right? So we can actually use this keyword synchronized in two ways. We can use it in a method block, a method or a block. So when I say block, if we want to just synchronize this println statement, we can do that. So what it essentially means is wherever we use synchronized in any method, that particular method will become thread safe. That is, there will be no, only one of the threads can use this particular method at any given instance of time. That is, it locks this method, finishes its job, only then it unlocks. Until then, any other thread cannot invoke this method. Similarly, we can use synchronized for a block of code, which we'll be seeing in our next video. That's it for this video. Thank you.